Hi book lovers, and welcome back. I hope you're doing good because we're gonna have a little chatty video, so grab a hot drink preferably because it's just super cold outside now and it's hot drink season. I have my coffee here, and a day ago the Goodreads Choice Awards came out, and I'm always excited to see what's on their list. And just in general, there is something about the end of the year that I love just so much when everything gets wrapped up. Like even the Spotify wrap up, I'm so excited to get. And obviously also the end of the year also means Christmas time, which I absolutely love. So yeah, all in all, it's just a very good time. But as I said, I want to talk about the Goodreads Choice Awards. I want to talk to you guys on what books we got selected, because I feel like sometimes they kind of feel a little bit random. And obviously we're also gonna speculate who we think are gonna win in those categories. And yeah, just in general, I mean, I love that I have a book channel now where I can talk to you guys about stuff like that. So please talk back to me. Let me know in the comments what you think. And let me go through the categories. I mean, I won't cover all of them because most of them are not really that interesting to me, or I mean, I think they're all interesting, but some genre I just don't read as much. But we're gonna have a look. And for example, I don't read a lot of fiction, but I still like to go through these books just to see, what have other people that enjoy fiction been reading. And obviously some of these books have been flowing around and they sometimes do catch my eyes. I mean, the first one I see here is, for example, The Wedding People. I think that is one that calls my name because I think the cover is really beautiful. I don't know what that is about. I like that Ellen Hildebrand's latest book is on this list as well, Swan Song. I read my first Ellen Hildebrand book this year and I really like her writing, so I definitely want to read more books by her. Then I also see that we have Good Material by Dolly Alderton on here, and I was thinking about picking this one up because I only read Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, and I really liked that book, but I haven't picked up anything else by her. She just writes things that are a bit more out of my comfort zone. Ooh, we also have Blue Sisters here by Coco Melors, and I really want to try out one of her books. And I mean, I can tell you now, like, I want to do Bookmas, and for one of the videos for Bookmas, I pick up a book for my book club with my girlfriends, and Blue Sisters was I think for the longest time my top contender, and I really wanted to pick that one. I decided against it and picked another book, but yeah, Blue Sisters, I was very intrigued and I would just love to try a book by her. I always see Cleopatra and Frankenstein, and that one is also very intriguing. Then I also see Sally Rooney's Intermezzo here, which is great. I haven't picked that one up because I had Normal People still on my TBR, and I said to myself, I'm not picking up another Sally Rooney book before I read that one. But guess what? I just read it and I absolutely loved Normal People, so much more intrigued by Intermezzo. That is so far for the Goodreads Choice Awards of Fictional. Haven't read one single book of that genre, and I don't know which one will win. Also, I'm sorry that I look a lot into my phone. It's just where I read those things from. I won't go into historical fiction just because I don't read a lot of historical fiction. Mystery and thrillers. Oh, I just wish I would go more into mystery and thrillers because I used to love them so much. But yeah, romance and now fantasy just really take up a lot of my reading time. But nevertheless, I'm excited to see what we have here. We have the new release from Richard Osman, and I also saw a lot of The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I didn't know actually that that was a thriller, to be quite honest, but I think the cover is just so pretty. Covers always get me. Then what else do we have here? Yes, The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. The Harris, that looks good as well. We have more or less our typical authors here, also Lucy Foley, Riley Sager, Frida McFadden a second time. The one that really intrigued me and I still want to read is The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rekulak, actually. But yeah, also haven't read a single book of this list, but I'm intrigued by a few, and as I said, I want to read more mystery and thrillers. The next genre is romance, and obviously that is my, my genre, but I want to talk about romance last because I have definitely a few thoughts on that one. But let's go into Romantasy, and I'm unsure if we had Romantasy last year actually, but I like that they added that as a separate genre. So let's go into Romantasy. And there are definitely a few that I've never heard before. Also, I'm sorry, I have like construction work outside and they just started again. But I want to keep talking to you guys, so I hope it's not too annoying. We have another Flesh and Fire book on here. I'm really unsure if I should start that series. Like, I always think about it because it is quite big. But I don't know, have any one of you read the series? I also saw A Dark and Drowning Tide quite a bit. It looks so beautiful, the cover. I think it is amazing, but I don't know anything about the book. Then, of course, we have the Sarah J. Maas book on here. And at some point, I will read all her books. I also saw Quicksilver recently. It also looks very intriguing. Then we have the Zodiac Academy. I see the Zodiac Academy series go around so often right now. I feel like a couple of months ago I haven't heard anything about that series and we're at book 9. So the series must be out for a long time. But right now it's like everywhere. Also very intrigued by Phantasma. We also have A Crown This Cold and Heavy. That one looks very good. And I'm like looking through this list and tell me how it's possible that I feel like I read so much fantasy right now. And obviously I read a lot more Romantasy, and I've read nothing on here, which is just, I don't know if it's that crazy because I'm still new to the genre, and a lot of these books are also like part of series, and I'm always a bit apprehensive to go into series. And even when they're new series, I kind of prefer to go into series where I know there is at least a couple of books out, because I hate nothing more than to wait to the next book. So kind of makes sense, but still, I feel like Romantasy should be my genre, and it's just crazy that I haven't read anything on here. But there are definitely lots of books I want to add to my TBR, and let me know what you guys think is like worth it. What do you think will win? Let's have a look at the fantasy genre and see if I read at least one book from that list. Okay. The first book I've read right now, I feel so ashamed. I'm like, I shouldn't be on BookTube since I don't read any of these books. But we're not gonna talk about that. But yeah, the only book that I read on that list is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I really enjoyed my time with it. I think it was a lot better than the first one. And I also love that it's actually in the fantasy genre and not in the romantasy genre, because it really isn't a romantasy. Like, the romance plotline is so little. It is really nice and I love it. Should I vote for it? I always feel bad voting in a different type of genre where I haven't read a lot of books from, because how can I compare? But I also really liked it, so I feel like maybe it's not like deserving of first place. I don't know. I haven't read the other books, so really I can't tell. But that is the one I would vote for, just in case if you're wondering. Also, I haven't heard a lot about the other books in the fantasy genre, to be honest. Science fiction, not gonna really talk about it because I don't really read science fiction ever. Same with horror. I love the category debut novel because I feel like it's always great to find new authors that way, and just in general, to have like a debut novel kick off really well. Like, how amazing is that? And let's see if I know anything in here. Like, you definitely see sometimes the same book in different categories, which I don't mind, and it just kind of blows my mind how good some authors are. Oh my god, The Ministry of Time is actually a debut novel. I've seen that book around quite some time. It's not one that I would pick up anytime soon, but I don't know, just crazy that it's a debut novel. Same with How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwang. I don't think I've seen that book before, to be honest, but I know already that it's in the romance genre that I want to talk about last. Like, am I the only person that book just flew under the radar? I don't know, because I feel like romance should be a genre where I know basically everything. Ooh, We Used to Live Here. I think it's horror. Recently saw Destiny talk about it, which made me want to read it, even though, as I said, I think it's horror. I don't really read horror ever, but I'm still intrigued. Yeah, other than that, nothing really is calling my name. Then I'm pretty sure we have a new category, which is audiobook. And I'm very unsure about that category, because on one hand, I think it's great, but I also feel like, what really are we voting here for? Because is it like the narrator that we're gonna vote for, or like the production? Because the words are obviously the same than the book. Yeah, this one just confused me a little bit, because I could vote for books here that I read but I haven't listened to, so am I allowed to vote for them? I would say no, because I haven't listened to them. Because even if you listen to the books on here, you could just vote for them in the other categories. I mean, there doesn't need to be a difference. You know what I mean? Now, let's get to the YA section. I actually would say about myself that I don't really like YA, but then I read like quite a bit of YA, but I think especially in like fantasy, I don't mind YA. But looking at young adult fantasy, I actually voted for one of the books, and that is Hurtless Hunter or The Crimson Moth. I absolutely love that book. I haven't like decided yet, but it's definitely one of my favorites of the year. So clearly I voted for that one. But yeah, I read quite a few of these books. I'm excited to see which of these books actually gonna win, because I also see Ruthless Vows on here, for example, and I feel like in the book community I didn't hear a lot of good things about that book. I actually quite liked it. I also see Reckless on here, and I have a feeling that that could be definitely a winner because the series got so big. I just hope that Heartless Hunter is gonna win, because I honestly love that book so much. I think it is one of the best enemies to lovers stories, and I just can't wait for the second book, and I just think it's so deserved to win. One book that I really want to try out is Air by Sabah Tahir. I don't know anything about the book, but it's on my want to read list. And then I also saw that there is a Brandon Sanderson book on here, and I didn't know that he writes YA, but I love that cover. So if I ever go into a Brandon Sanderson book, I think it would definitely be part of that series, because this is book 4. But yeah, that are my thoughts for young adult fantasy. I really want to know what you guys think should win. Also, my leg just fell asleep. So YA fiction, which we have the book by Holly Jackson, The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. We have Heartstoppers volume 5 on here. Is Heartstoppers really that good? I only hear great things about that series, but because it's like comics, I'm really unsure whether I would like it or not. And if you convince me that I definitely should try them, I will. I don't even think it's just because it's comics that I'm a bit hesitant. I think it's also, it is comics and YA. If everyone says it's good, it must be, so intrigued. We have 2 Lynn Painter books on here. Interesting. I could definitely see one of them winning as well. I feel like Lynn Painter is a very well-loved YA author. Other than that, I don't have many thoughts on these books. And I just feel like I haven't read any of these Goodreads Choice Awards books. Like last year, I read so many. Well, maybe not so many, but a lot more than this year. But I also feel bad because I'm on BookTube now. I should have read more of these books. But yeah, let's quickly go to the nonfiction category. And that is also not really a genre I read a lot of, but I always find it interesting to go through them. And I was so happy to see that Feel Good Productivity is on here by Ellie Abdal. And I said that in like the very first few videos I ever did, but he was the one where I got very inspired by to start actually my BookTube channel. And I did his Skillshare class on like how to start your YouTube channel and everything. And I also read his book, which I really like. And I'm just a huge fan of him like all around. So I just thought when I saw this that it's just so amazing to have his book on here, because it's like the tiny overlap I have with him. And if you haven't read that one yet, I definitely recommend it if you want something very motivating. I think I also listened to it and he narrates it himself. So if you want to do that, that's also great. I also haven't read a single memoir from that category, which again, like last year, I think I read at least 2 or 3, which might not sound a lot, but it's not a genre that I read heaps of books from. But this year, I again haven't read any of these books, but the one that I really want to read is Sociopath, a memoir. I've always seen that one around, and I didn't even know that it was a new book. And then also The Third Gilmore Girl, a memoir by Kelly Bishop. I really would love to read that one as well. So these are 2 books that are still on my radar, but I haven't read them yet. And now, finally, because I'm not going to talk about history and biography, let's go to the romance section. Like that is the section where I should, you know, thrive. Let's see how many books I actually read. Okay, we have 20 books and I read 8, which really is not great. And I'm so surprised because I feel like I read a lot of new releases. But yeah, let's go straight into my thoughts, because why is there no Lauren Asher book on here? Like, I think she only came out with one book this year, which was Love Rewritten or Unwritten. I always get that mixed up. I think it's Love Unwritten. And why is it not on here? Like, I know it's not maybe everyone's favorite Lauren Asher book, but I feel like at least it deserves to be on here. Quite frankly, I mean, I loved Bride. Don't get me wrong, it was a 5-star read for me, but it's also paranormal romance. So why is Bride on this list? And we have 2 Ellie Hazelwood books on here. And I'm surprised that both books are on here because they were very different from her usual things. And if I look at some of these ratings, I just don't really understand. For example, I'm actually quite surprised that the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, oh my god, that is a long name, is on here, because not because I think it's a bad book, I haven't read it, and I know it's gotten quite big the last couple of weeks, but to see it as a choice for the Goodreads Choice Awards in the category romance, I was very surprised, because being very scientific and just based on vibes and the cover, I wouldn't even consider this being like a romance. Like, it definitely could have a romance, and I think so. I mean, it's in the romance genre. It has like a romance subline, but I don't think this is mainly a romance. And also it has less ratings and also a lower rating in general than Love Unwritten. Like, I feel like it's just a crime to me personally, but also to book lovers, that Lauren Asher's book is not on here. And maybe because I am a huge romance girly, I think they should have more like subcategories for romance, because for example, dark romance I think deserves like its own category. Same with maybe like historical romance, but that is just my opinion. As I said, I was also surprised to see How to End a Love Story in here, just because I haven't really seen anything from this book before, but I might pick it up since it's also a debut novel and I would love to see what the author did. I'm happy to see that Kennedy Ryan's book is on here. Not surprised that Emily Henry's book is on here. And will we be surprised if she wins the Goodreads Choice Awards again? I don't really think so. I really like her other books, but they were never my personal favorites, so I never voted for her book. I always had other favorites on this list. But looking at this year's list, I can definitely see myself voting for Funny Story, because Funny Story was one of my favorite reads this year. It is my favorite Emily Henry book. Like, that is my only 5-star Emily Henry book as well. So I definitely can see myself voting for that. The other potential books that I could vote for is definitely also, as I said, Bride. I think Bride was an amazing book and it's so different. I don't think it will win though, because it is so different. Then we also have Just for the Summer. Even though it wasn't a personal 5-star for me, it was very, very close. I've seen a lot of great reviews for Just for the Summer, and overall I think it was an amazing book. Then I'm also happy to see Play Along by Liz Tomford, and I think actually you say her name Liz Tomford. It just sounds a bit wrong in my ears, but I'll try to do that. But I like to see her play along on here. I definitely think it's deserving of that place. Like, Liz Tomford's book series is so amazing that 100% it should be on this list. Elsie Silver's Wild Love I also definitely see as a contender to win this category, because I feel like a lot of people loved it and I'm the only one who didn't like that book. So I wouldn't say I would be disappointed. It's just not a favorite of mine. Like, I actually didn't like that book, but I could see it as a winner. I really, really want to read The Love of My Afterlife. I'm quite sad that I didn't get to read The Paradise Problem by Christina Rorn, but listen to me, it was because the version or the edition that I wanted, I couldn't get here easily, and it was just so much fuss. So I think I'll just have to wait and read it next summer, because to me it's a summer book, but I'm very intrigued by that and I'm happy to see it on this list. There are definitely a lot of contenders on this list that we see frequently. I'm also happy to see Daydream by Hannah Grace, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if it wins. I definitely think it deserves it, even though Daydream is the one book out of her Maples Hill series that I personally didn't love, but I still enjoyed it a lot, and I really see why other people would love it so much. It's just that it wasn't a favorite to me. We also have King of Sloth by Anna Huang here, and that one, if you would have asked me a year ago, would have been one of my top contender and the book that I anticipated the most, but also probably one of my biggest disappointment. Not because the book was necessarily bad, but I definitely expected a 5-star read and it was not for me, so I was very, very sad, but I still see it as a great contender for this list. So yeah, I haven't decided 100% yet on what to vote for. Probably Funny Story. Let me know what you guys voted for in any category really, and if you agree with the choices Goodreads made for this year. As I said, I'm a bit sad that I didn't read more from all these books, but especially romance-wise, I would have thought that I read more of Goodreads choices. But yeah, I hope you had fun with this teddy video. I mean, nothing here is too serious. I just wanted to use this space to have a discussion with you, because, you know, that's why I'm also here on BookTube. So definitely let me know in the comments what you think, and I hope you have a good day. Give this video a like, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye! Oh, and also subscribe if you haven't done that yet. I forgot that. So now I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye!